Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis, and today we're going to be talking about pretty much the entire crypto market, just mainly Bitcoin, the altcoin market cap, as well as talking about Hbar specifically, because we do see Bitcoin kind of having that nice pullback that I was expecting. Hopefully we could range a little bit lower. It would be a lot healthier for us to actually go a little bit lower. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about a little bit of an impulse to the upside as well. And yeah, with that being said, I hope everybody's having a great week. If you guys are, definitely comment down below how you guys are doing. I'd love to hear from you all. And let's just jump into it. So first off, we're going to refresh. We're going to see that we are down about 2.19%, sitting at about a $2.29 trillion market cap. Bitcoin down about 3.25%. Most altcoins, including even Ethereum, are down as well, 2.09%. XRP down about 3.77%, nothing too crazy there. And then, of course, if we do come down to our lovely friend Hedera, we do see that we are down about 0.78%. This is kind of ranging here, nothing too crazy with that. Now, I have been keeping you guys in the loop on Hedera. If we actually go and click it, we could actually see that the volume is up about 6.50%, but that's nothing really. This could be buy and also sell pressure. This is pretty much just the volume traded within the last 24 hours. This isn't just buy pressure or anything like that. But the thing is that this, right? First off, people thought that the bottom was in here because we hit, 36 cents. That is not the case. We could actually come down a lot lower on Hedera Hashgraph. Excuse me. And I've been talking to you guys about that this entire week. Pretty much even going back to last week as well. We've been expecting this pullback. If we actually go to the last 7 days, I told you guys around this point here that we were expecting that nice pullback on Bitcoin. I've been talking to you guys about it for a while now. Now today, when we're talking about, the USD pair, yeah, we hit roughly almost 36 cents, but look at where we topped out a little bit at. Major resistance, okay? We are between resistance and support. If we break 33 cents again, we could range even lower. That's why we always have these nice support zones to really kind of guide us. We bounced off of support down here at about 31.5 cents. On the 4-hour, things look a little different just because of the charts, but overall, when we're talking about this, we ranged fairly low. And again, when we're talking about the USD pair, we always talk about the Bitcoin pair, because right now, I could tell you, that the USD pair looks like, it's ready to drop much lower, but who knows, because we don't really have the insight from the Bitcoin pair. Because this, watching the USD pair without watching the Bitcoin pair, it makes no sense to do that. You always want to keep an eye out on this, just for anybody who is new to crypto, because this is the guiding measurement for you. Right now, the Bitcoin pair looks fairly good. It looks like it bounced off of support. We traded just a little bit below that support zone, but it's all good. It's all fine. Realistically speaking, if we go and put, this nice little line here, we could actually see that this was resistance going all the way back to July. We could actually see that this was some support even going back as early as May. And even this was major support going back to April as well. So overall, would it be too crazy to say that this was the bottoming point? No, it wouldn't. But we are also watching Bitcoin, because Bitcoin looks fairly weak right now. So it wouldn't be too crazy for us to kind of retest a little bit lower. Who knows, right? But I will say this, the USD pair has been holding up fairly strong within the grasp of the Bitcoin pair. Now, if we were talking about the Bitcoin pair, I personally think that it would be fairly good for this to correct off of this nice resistance or support zone, if you will. It's resistance for the negative aspect of the price, but this is support for the positive price action. This means that we could see something like this, okay? And again, this green little rectangle here, I almost said triangle. How weird was that? But anyways, this green rectangle here, that's basically my demand zone. This is where I personally want to see Bitcoin dominance, or not Bitcoin dominance, Hedera Hashgraph on the Bitcoin price chart back to. Because this is where we want to see it in order for us to hit some nice high targets above this demand zone here, which is around roughly 42 cents. We need to be above this in order for us to have that bullish divergence pretty much switch into the market and have Hedera Hashgraph hit the recent all-time high and break into nice price discovery. So overall, when we're talking about the inverted scale, I think when we're talking about the long-term growth real quick, and when I talk about long-term growth, I mean just like later on in the week or next week, it's not too long-term for anybody who wanted to know, but I think that this nice reversal could be the start of a major breaking point for Hedera Hashgraph. I mentioned this on my Twitter going back a week ago. I said it looks like the Bitcoin pair could be looking for a nice reversal spot. We didn't know where that reversal spot was. This point down here at about 580 sats, if you will, could be that possibility. And when we're talking about this, if this goes parabolic, I mean the Bitcoin pair goes parabolic, it means that this USD pair will move just as fast, if not faster. Going back to even this date here, September 11th, if we go back to September 11th, here it is, breaking out, went all-time high, right? And again, when we're talking about that, to really break out of that all-time high, we want to be above the 1,050 sat level. Okay, that's exactly why this point here is very key for us to be back into. This will give us a lot of strength. This will allow us to push higher. Now, the concerning factor is still Bitcoin dominance, because Bitcoin dominance is still around 45. Okay, and yeah, we are seeing a little bit of a sell-off happening here. But I would not be surprised if we get some support somewhere in between this chop zone of 44.7 and 45.77%, and it pretty much ranges higher. I think that we could see possibly 47.48% being tested, which will allow for Bitcoin to kind of have its nice little correction. And in regards to the correction point, I think that when we're talking about what could be happening here, we're seeing a nice little pullback happen, right? And I think that we could see 52K retest it before we come up, retest about 56K, and come back down and retest something where it's the 50.5K point. I think that this is a solid path for Bitcoin right now, where we come down, get some strength, bounce off, come back up, hit that resistance somewhere around the 56K point, and come back down and retest maybe 50K or even 49.3K. That's what I personally am looking for. This nice rectangle here, we could kind of we could change this to a red rectangle, because this is pretty much the point where I want to see us come back down to, but this is also that pullback area. This is that healthy correction point. We're talking about the price range right now on Bitcoin. We see that we hit resistance, right? And right now, this is only about a 4% pullback. If we come back down here, this is roughly 8.85. And if we come back down lower, it's about 12.56, which would be very healthy for us to continue higher. But again, when we're talking about that, okay, we talk about where the percentage drop could bring us on Hbar. And I have this nice, demand zone down here. It could be our demand zone. It could be whatever you want this to be. But 24% being retested wouldn't be a big surprise, which puts us at around 26 cents down here. I know that people were getting a little bit excited because they thought that this was going to be a reversal today. We have to watch it, right? For this to be validated in a sense of like a lot of strength, we need to be back up here. We have a long way ahead of us. Okay, and it's not going to take forever. It's not going to be taking until, the end of November or anything like that. But I'm just saying this could take us to about the end of the month or even just later on this week. When prices move in crypto, they move fast. That is why I always give you guys a little bit of a, just kind of be patient sort of aspect, because when things start to move, they move very fast. But I am watching Bitcoin very closely for a nice pullback, a healthy pullback, and a retest of resistance. But if we do look at where we topped out at just yesterday, if we look back on the chart, so let's actually zoom in here. So this thin line up here at around 57.8K is the point where we bounced off of. Okay, this was resistance going back to March 11th. A little bit of you could call it a little bit of a resistance going back to February, but not too much. More so, I'm focused on the March dates. And if we actually look here, we came down, corrected fairly good. In terms of a price percentage, this was only roughly about 5.30%, which allowed us to break above 60, almost 2K, before having the correction. I wouldn't be surprised if we do retest about 59K. That wouldn't surprise me at all. This was a nice 14% almost pullback down to about 53.2K. That would be welcoming. I wouldn't be too concerned with that. But we do see what ended up happening. It grabbed some strength, which is, again, is that nice point that I was trying to point at over here, where we could see, we could see 59K before we see any sort of lows. For example, right, we could have this pullback a little bit, retest a little bit support, maybe come down a little bit lower, wouldn't surprise me. We come back up, retest about 59K, and then have that pullback somewhere around this point here, which again, when we're talking about the percentage drop, this percentage drop is not too much. It's roughly about 4.60%. Pretty much the same as most pullbacks that we see on Bitcoin on the short span. And then we could come up, retest about 59K, which would be roughly around a 6, almost 7% nice little pump. And then we would drop and retest some major support down here. I'm still expecting a 12% pullback. So 12% would bring us to around my nice support demand zone, if you will. Most likely we will retest this point here, going back to September 6th, which if we actually look on the chart, look at where that brings us in regards to the percentage drop. That would make a lot of sense. This would be a drop, retest, drop. And again, once we break over this point, I could already see it now. 60K, it's going to 60K, it's going to 60K. We don't end up getting there. This would be perfect, in my opinion. We just have to watch Bitcoin closely. We are not out of the woods just yet. I understand exciting times ahead. Q4 is going to be life-changing, but we just have to watch the short-term aspect of things, because right now I would be looking for a little bit of a correction on Bitcoin. There is a lot of resistance at this point here. There's also a lot of support if we actually look at it, but I'm still expecting that to be flipped into a little bit of resistance instead of support. This is not a major support zone until we break above it and retest it. But every single time that we do retest resistance and even support, that point gets weaker. And if we do see here, we only retested it and bounced off of it once. And we had a fairly good rejection of that point, dropping down about roughly 4%. Now, we have retested major resistance before, but ended up breaking out of it. It's fairly simple. We even look back here to October 5th. We retested this. It only took us twice to bounce off of that before we actually broke out of it. So who knows in regards to that. I'm watching this very closely if we could see a rejection point off of this again, or if we could break above it. I think breaking above it will bring us to that aspect of retesting a major resistance, and then pretty much breaking out of it. Everybody gets bullish. We continue up. We could even retest 60K. I wouldn't be surprised if we came back up and, retested 60K, came back down, broke both of those channels, pretty much retested about 55K, or major support somewhere around this point here, which is still roughly about 55K almost. We would come back down, retest that, bounce off of it, come up, hit some resistance maybe at that point that we are at now, and then drop down and retest a major support down here, which would make a lot of sense as well. There's a lot of indicators that are telling me that we're going to get some strength, drop, get some more strength, and then drop again. It would make perfect sense for the continuation of Bitcoin on its upward path. Trust me, we are still very, very bullish. I'm still very bullish. I'm just saying on the short-term aspect, we could be seeing better buys on Hbar. I'm watching the Hbar Bitcoin chart fairly closely. I am watching to make sure that this gains a lot more strength than we are seeing right now, because it's not, it's not telling me anything in a sense that we're ready to go just yet. We are still ranging with Bitcoin, and this has not gained a lot of traction just yet. We personally, we really need to break this point here, okay? And that is major resistance going back to September 4th. That is what I was talking about on Twitter, by the way. We need to break this. And so far, we have rejected it, and on the 4-hour span, a lot of people think that the 4-hour span on the dollar looks, or on the daily looks fairly good. But realistically speaking, on the 4-hour chart, this looks like a terrible rejection. So I'm watching this fairly closely. This was a massive influx of price action on the Bitcoin pair. On the USD pair, we could actually see that 4-hour chart fairly, bearish, if you will. Not too much strength. Again, we retested this 3 times before we broke down below that nice support. And I don't know. In my opinion, I think that we are doing something like this, where we will retest 30 cents. That's where I will personally be looking to buy. This is my buy point. This is all my buy point down here, and I could actually just add that to the chart. So buy zone. This is my personal entry points. I will DCA down if we do get even lower, but that's just my overall standpoint on that. The daily, the 4 hour, everything looks fairly solid, if you will, in a sense of hitting this. So I suppose you could say that it looks bearish, but I just think that this is a solid entry point, and I think that it is a buy-in opportunity before we do range a lot higher, as we do know Q4 is going to be extremely bullish. So with that, I also leave you this chart. This is what we want to see, right? In order for our alts to increase very, very fast, we want to see Bitcoin dominance decrease as Bitcoin increases, and we have not been seeing that. We are seeing Bitcoin dominance decrease while Bitcoin's price decreases as well, and look at exactly what happens with our altcoins. They are just stable. You could say that Bitcoin has been stable within the 55K point while Bitcoin dominance is dropping. So technically speaking, you could say that we're doing the bottom point here, but I don't think that that is the case. I think that we are doing this bottom rung here. But for anybody who really wants to see a depiction on how to track Bitcoin dominance, Bitcoin, and then also altcoins, here you go. So we don't want to see the second one. We don't even want to see the first one, but we most likely will see this first one as we do march forward on. But in a sense of a pullback, we'll most likely see this one where our alts decrease fairly fast in a sense of Hbar, which I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it is the truth. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you guys do want more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. If you guys do want more content, I do have a website, NCashOfficial.com, where I have all my trading opportunities, all my stuff that I do personally, exit strategies, all that kind of stuff. I also have a Crusader trading bundle pack that includes everything on the site for one price. So you guys are more than welcome to go and check that out if you are interested in that. But with that being said, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.